Hello. I'm a bit thrown tonight because normally before the show I don't have anything to say and I talk anyway. It's a convention of television. You don't just start, you waffle a bit and then start because otherwise the BBC would have to make 8% more programmes. But the weird thing is tonight I actually do have something that I need to say, which is that one of the teams hasn't turned up. I know what you're thinking. Why do they ever turn up? What can I tell you? They usually do. But tonight, the Dragons have had to withdraw from the competition for personal reasons, so they've been invited to come back next year instead. Tonight, they're being replaced by this series' highest-scoring losers, which is interesting because at pilot stage, highest-scoring losers was the working title for the show. And they are, on my right, Andy Chrisley, who accidentally won a chess tournament when his opponent was disqualified for oversleeping. James Buchanan, who celebrated the Queen's 90th birthday by baking a show cake that looked like a stamp. And their captain, Daniel Foskett, who falls asleep at night listening to audio recordings of past general elections. United in their craving for a cuppa, they are the Brews. So you're back again, unexpectedly. How does that feel?
We feel really lucky to be back in Cardiff, and we're hoping to play with the abandon of a team that's been given a second life.
Well, that's an excellent strategy. Lovely to see you again. This time you are facing, on my left, George Caulfield, a cryptic crossworder who has dated 2 women suffering from typhoid. Joey Goldman, a keen runner who spends his time thinking about chairs. And their captain, Hugh Binney, a chemistry graduate who suffered a paper cut while assembling a map of Africa on Japanese TV. United by a yen for Yahtzee, they are the Dicers. More straightforward route for you guys. You won your heat and you're still here. What was the highlight of your opening game?
Obviously, it was meeting you, Victoria, and that would be the highlight of all of our games.
Well, that was a nice thing to say. What a charming... Well, no, I'm turning to you. You were unlikely to be charmed by your opponents at this stage of the evening. Thank you very much.
Quite all right.
You won the toss, Dicers, but you've thrown your opponents in first, so straight back into competition for you, Brews. Which hieroglyph would you like?
We'll go Horn Viper, please.
The Horn Viper. What is the connection between these apparently random clues? Here's the first.
Next, please.
Try another one?
Yeah, okay.
Sure.
Next, please.
No, I don't really either. No, this should be the last one.
Next, please.
Valentine's in 12.
2 seconds.
Merchants.
Not the answer, I'm afraid. Dicers, would you like to have a go for a bonus point?
These are title characters of Shakespeare plays.
One of them is a merchant. Which one is the merchant?
Antonio.
Antonio is the merchant of Venice, not Shylock, as some people think. These are the first names of characters in Shakespearean titles. Talk me through the plays, please.
Well, Valentine and Proteus are the 2 gentlemen of Verona. Mistress Forge and Mistress Page are the Merry Wives of Windsor.
That's right.
And Palamon and Arcite are the other 2.
The 2 noble kinsmen.
Yes, very good.
Which 4 Shakespeare plays have titles that begin and end with the same letter?
The Tempest.
That's one.
Twelfth Night.
That's another.
Antony and Cleopatra.
Good. One more. It's an unexpected letter. I'm
Othello.
tempted not to say. Othello is right. I was tempted not to say, and then they could spend the whole show being totally distracted, going, oh, what is it? Is it a V? Can't be a V. Well done, Dicers. You get the bonus. Which question would you like?
Eye of Horus, please.
The Eye of Horus. OK. What is the connection between these clues? Here's the first.
You got to become the Royal Academy or something.
Next, please.
iOS, RIOF, no, RIOP. It's not acronyms or anything. I think there's probably
Next,
one
please.
That's nice. They determine what gets commissioned in terms of healthcare. I mean, have they got an acronym which is shorter than everything? Because NICE is NICE, it doesn't have the H in for health.
Next, please.
Yeah, so the acronyms which have don't include the letters.
The acronyms for these organisations miss out at least one of the words in capital letters here.
I need to hear something more specific than that, because I think that applies to almost all acronyms.
So not one of the filler words, one of the small words.
I think this is gonna
I
throw
don't think
me,
I can
isn't it?
take it, because I think what you're saying is just too general about acronyms. So, Brews, you've got the chance of a bonus now.
We can't see it. They had to change their acronym because other places have got similar ones.
That's not it. It's not just that they miss out some of the words, which nearly all acronyms do, it's that they're actively wrong. So the Royal Institute of Oil Painters, its initials are ROI, not RIO, and we don't know why.
Just ISO,
The International Organisation for Standardisation is not IOS, it's ISO. That does have a reason. It's because it will be different in different languages. So that's why. And the National Institute for Health and Care Excellence, that is nice. They have missed out the H, Worldwide Fund for Nature. They kept the initials WWF when they changed it from World Wildlife Fund. The initials do not match the name of the organisation. No points there. Bruce, what would you like?
Lion, please.
Lion. OK. What is the connection between these clues? Here's the first.
Next, please.
I've seen twin mates. I need more than that.
Okay. Next, please. Okay, so it's under 16.
Under 16. What's he going to do under 16?
Don't know. A minor? Could be a minor. Should we go? Next, please. Under 16. It's under 16.
2 seconds.
Under 16 years of age.
That does not apply to all the clues, I'm afraid. Dice is your chance for a bonus.
They're minors.
They are minors, and I know you said that about the third clue, but that applies to all the clues. What can you tell me about them?
Bevan boys were minors in the Second World War.
Named after Ernest Bevan, he was the Minister of Labour.
Minors aren't allowed to buy any of those things. George reliably informs me that he doesn't remember there being any minors in Twin Peaks, despite having been a very big fan of it.
It's a minor bird. Although it's a minor
opening.
bird, they're homophones. They're all different sorts of minor. Scorpions' lead singer is Klaus Minor. Your turn, Dices. What would you like?
Can we have the twisted flax, please?
Yes, you can. Twisted facts. These are going to be picture clues. What do they have in common? Here's the first.
That's Reagan and some cowboys.
Next, please.
That's Eisenhower and Scotch. What's he feeling? Should we go next?
Next, please.
That's Nixon and a Searchlight. So is essentially their first names: Ronald, Dwight, Richard Searchlight. Should we take the next one?
Next, please. Oh, these are CIA code names, are they?
Okay, yeah. Yeah, Searchlight's great.
Are these the code names that the presidents were given by the Secret Service?
That's exactly what they are. Talk me through the clues, please.
Reagan's a cowboy.
No, not cowboy.
Rancher.
Rawhide, when that was his nickname.
Right.
Yes, and the others are clear from the pictures.
The second one is Eisenhower.
We got that it's Eisenhower. We couldn't really tell what was going on there.
His scorecard. So while he was president, his nickname was Providence, but once he'd retired, it was Scorecard because he played so much golf.
Right.
Nixon?
Is that Searchlight?
Searchlight. And Clinton?
Eagle.
Eagle, exactly right.
Eagle has landed.
Very well done. Bruce, your turn for choice. What would you like?
2 reads, please.
2 reads. OK, what is the connection between these clues? Here's the first.
Next, please. Obviously address. Streets where... next, please.
His place name. His place is where superheroes live. Is that possible? Don't mind.
Next, please. So that's Wimbledon. Oh, is it? Oh, it's the majors.
Yeah. Tennis majors.
Okay, we're going to say it's the venues of the tennis majors.
They are the Grand Slam tennis addresses. Absolutely right. And what are those majors?
Australia, then France, then New York, America, and Wimbledon.
That's exactly right. And do you know about Gordon Bennett, who lent his name to the avenue?
No, sounds pretty cool.
It's James Gordon Bennett. Well, cool is one word for it. Some people say that the expression Gordon Bennett comes from him. The one that I remember is that an engagement of his was called off. He was engaged to a very grand girl and went to the family home for a dinner party and mistook his prospective father-in-law's ornate fireplace for a urinal and used it in full view of the assembled guests. what I find fascinating about that was even if you did mistake a free urinal, why would you use it with everyone standing there in the drawing room? Anyway, well done, you're quite right. Dicers, there's one question left. Water. There it is. It's the music question. What do these clues have in common? Here's the first.
Maybe recognise the band, but I can't think who it is.
Next, please. This is the Shire music from Lord of the Rings, right?
Yeah.
Just go for the first one. Yep. Next, please.
No, I don't. I think take the last one.
Next, please.
The taste of love is sweet.
Yeah. Rings.
Is the right answer. What did we hear?
We heard music from Lord of the Rings was second. Ring of Fire was that last one. And two other well-known songs.
I mean, the third one really is Ring My Bell and Ethan Hawke. That's quite well known.
That's a bit embarrassing.
The first one, Rings Around the World. Super Furry Animals, that is, from their 2001 album, Rings Around the World. Do you know what the working title was for that album?
No, of course not.
Well, you might know. It's a thing that quizzes might know. The working title was Text Messaging is Destroying the Pub Quiz as We Know It.
Okay.
That feels very 2001, doesn't it, as a concept? Now you've got to work around it. You can't do it on your phone, not this quiz. It would be impossible to find out the answers in the time available. That means at the end of round one, the Brews have 1 point, the Dicers have 4. On to round two, a round which is even more difficult to work out by text message. Brews, what would you like?
Lion, please.
Lion. OK, you'll see the first in a series of clues. I want to know what would come forth. Time starts now.
OK. Next, please. Oh, OK, so it's anagrams and countess. Anagrams of royal families.
This was after York. Is it Tudor and Stuart?
Sure, it's Tudor and Stuart's an anagram of Stuart.
What if it's Tudor after Tudor?
Yes. Shall we look at
So
it?
what's an anagram?
Yeah.
Strauss.
Yeah, Strauss. An anagram. We're going to go with an anagram of Stuart, so
Oh.
Strout.
Strout is an acceptable answer. We went with Rattus. I heard you discussing Trouts. That would be very acceptable because I once played poker with a guy called Trouts and his
okay.
name was Stuart and he spelt it exactly like that. Strauss would not be acceptable. What's happening in this sequence?
So these are anagrams of royal households going from Lancaster to Stuart.
That's right. Lancaster, York, Tudor, Stuart. Anagrams of royal houses. Very well spotted. Dicers, what would you like?
Eye of Horus, please.
The Eye of Horus. OK. And what would come forth in this sequence?
dear.
Here's the first.
Next, please.
Oh, it is.
It's the Bristol Stool
It's the
chart.
Bristol Stool chart. It is entirely liquid.
Okay.
Now let's just think. We've got 26 seconds. Smooth like a soldier, I think, is type 4. Soft
Yeah,
bobs with
this makes
clear
sense.
edges is 5, and then almost entirely liquid. Yeah, it's entirely liquid.
Entirely liquid.
Is the right answer. I'm going to go to my happy place while you explain it to the viewers.
Well, this is the Bristol Stool chart, types 4 through 7. It's something doctors use to work out the consistency of someone's feces.
You having dinner during this, are you? Sausage and mash, is it? While the teams play this question. Wasn't my idea to have this question. The Bristol Stool Scale. It's a means for measuring the health of stools, going from sausage-like to entirely liquid. Brews, what would you like?
Twisted flax, please.
OK, twisted flax. Thank goodness it's not going to be a stool sequence. Whatever it is, it won't be that. Your first clue is coming up now.
OK, next, please.
Was it Horse and Greater Tube Station? Is it?
So
It's a common
they're going
entrance
down
to
by one
Tube
Street
End.
Green Road.
Oh, yeah,
So
so
could it be a
it could
three-letter
be-
one?
Yeah. What's the one?
Is there a three-letter one?
Why is that now?
Tube station with a three. Should we go next?
I think it's worth guessing. But that might be 3. Beck. Tooting Beck.
OK. We're going to say Beck, E.G. Tooting.
You, I think, have found an alternative sequence. Please talk me through it.
So the first word's going down by one letter at a time, and then the first word of the station's underneath. So Beck would be a three-letter station with Tooting below.
I think that's absolutely acceptable. I will take your alternative sequence. The sequence we were thinking of is the most common endings for London tube stations. Street would be the fourth most common, then green, then road. I wanted to hear park, which is unexpectedly the most common. You have Belsize Park, Cannons Park, Chiswick Park, loads of them. However, that's quite a tight sequence you've got there. Street is a 6-letter word, green is 5 letters, the next one would be road at 4 letters, and you came up with a station that does end in a 3-letter word, tooting back. I'll take it for an alternative sequence. So Di says that the bonus wasn't available because your opponents were just too clever. But you may have your own question. What would you like?
Can we have the horned viper, please?
Yes, you can. The horned viper. What would come forth in this sequence? Here's the first.
So D. Is this like representing? So like A is 1, B is 3 in Scrabble. C, no.
Next, please.
I think it is. So H, I, J, K, L.
So it's
M1. Oh, okay.
P3113. Is that right?
It's, was it MNOP?
Yeah, 3113.
Is P 3 or 4?
3.
Okay, then that.
M to P, 3113.
You're too good. You're all brilliant. I feel like you're all my brilliant children in the school play. This is some excellent quizzing. What's happening here?
These are Scrabble tile values in English.
That's exactly right. I mean, people at home will be thinking... I mean, I know you switched off after the Bristol stool sequence. I'm not really talking to anybody here. Hi, Mum. I mean, this is amazing. They are Scrabble letters and their values. So they're coming in batches of 4, A, B, C, D. A is worth 1, B is worth 3, C is worth 3, D is worth 2, and so on. And the letters M to P are worth 3, then 1, then 1, then 3. Back to you, Brews, for a choice.
2 reads, please.
2 reads, OK. Oh, a music sequence. What a nice treat for everyone. It's a shame there's nobody watching after that Bristol stool question, but should they tune back in by mistake, they're going to have a treat. You'll be hearing your clues. They come in a sequence. I want to know what sort of thing you'd hear in 4th place. Here's the first.
My tummy's turning and I'm feeling kind of homesick. Too much pressure and I'm nervous. That's when the taxi man turned on the radio. And the Jay-Z song comes on. And the Jay-Z song comes on. And the
OK,
Jay-Z
next, please.
all by myself alone.
Pitch perfect.
Get you and
Just
keep
go next.
in my
Next, please.
Times have changed. Our kids are getting worse. They won't obey their parents. They just want to fart and curse. Should we blame
It's,
the government?
it's South Park.
Blame
So let's we do
society?
something from West
2
Side Story.
seconds.
We'll say something from West Side Story.
And why would that be?
If you go around the compass, we sort of thought the last one was South Park, so we're hoping that it's going north-east, south-west.
This time, I'm afraid you have not hit upon an alternative sequence. Doesn't work for the earlier clues. So, Dices, you've got the chance of a bonus point.
Well, a piece of music about Russia. So
That is what we're looking for. Why is that?
these are the 4 biggest countries getting bigger.
What did we hear?
We heard Party in the USA by Miley Cyrus. Something from South Park, which was Blame Canada, maybe it was.
The third one was Blame Canada, and so
Yeah,
the
and
second one would be
something about China.
Slow Boat to China, Ella Fitzgerald. We wanted to hear something featuring Russia. For example, well, From Russia with Love. Shall we give it a go?
No.
1, 2, 3.
From Russia with love, I fly to you. Wasn't it that?
You, Daniel, you are a brilliant man. Thank you very much. I hope you were joining in at home. One question remains for you. Water. Appropriate for people who were watery about that last question.
Absolutely.
These are going to be picture clues. What sort of thing would come forth? Here's the first.
Bob Marley.
And the Wailers.
Next, please.
Holly Ivy is a Carol, Bob Carol. What are these people's names?
Could be, couldn't it?
The hosts of something.
Is it
Just go.
like... No, okay.
Next.
That's Ted. Is that bear? Ted.
Yeah.
So Bob, Carol, Ted.
That's
Presumably teeth.
2 seconds.
Nick.
a picture of Nick from...
Just Nick.
Yeah,
Nick
Nick.
Clegg, maybe.
It isn't a picture of Nick
Is
Clegg.
it not?
Brews, would you like to have a go?
We're going to say John somebody.
That's not it either. It's a film. Bob and Carol and Ted and Alice.
Right.
You're looking blank. I think people have different things to do on their Saturday afternoons now. When I was a child, I think that was on every Saturday afternoon. a slightly it was a racy 70s or late 60s film about couples in America.
Oh, never mind.
That means at the end of round 2, the Brews have 7 points, the Dicers have 11. On to the connecting wall now. And Dicers, it's your turn to go first. So please choose lion or water.
Lion, please, Victoria.
Lion, you're not going for the far end of the Bristol stool chart? Lion it is. You have 2.5 minutes to solve this wall, starting now.
The sauces, peri-peri.
So areas of Mexico are Yucatan, Tabasco. Tabasco, so Sonora, maybe Tabasco is the XO is a sauce, peri-peri is a sauce.
Didier Deschamps, Gerard Houllier,
Yeah.
these Laurent Blanc, these former managers of France. I don't know who.
Should we do the sauces again? So Chipotle, Sriracha, XO, peri-peri.
Okay, Hidalgo. Why do I know Hidalgo is he a football coach?
There's a cry of Hidalgo in like Mexican
Hidalgo is
independence.
a ship. Is a Hidalgo a ship?
Saluki's a dog. Beagle's a Beagle's a ship, right? Because that's
Yeah. Basenji looks like it was
Basenji
a Saluki.
Saluki's a jog, isn't it?
Yes.
So if these are ships, oops, sorry.
Oh,
and
I think the football thing is good.
yeah. So Blanc, Houllier, Deschamps.
I mean, these three are likely.
Yeah.
So who would the
I think
fourth be?
I
We
think
tried
maybe these are all
Basenji,
dogs. Or maybe these are all dogs and Hidalgo's a manager.
That seemed. We didn't try Hidalgo.
You solved the wall. Simple as that. What about the connections? Tell me about the first blue group starting Yucatan.
These are Mexican states.
Mexican states. What about the green group starting XO or
These
XO?
are sauces, spicy sauces,
XO
or
is
hot
not
sauces, are
generally
they not?
spicy.
Okay,
They're
well, they're
sauces.
sauces of a sort.
Yes, they're sauces of a sort. And the next group, Hidalgo, blank and so on.
These are French football managers.
What do you mean exactly?
Managers of the French football team.
They are managers of the French national football team, that's right. And the last group, Beagle, Havanese and so on.
These are just types of dog.
They're all breeds of dog. So 4 points for the groups, 4 points for the connections, and the bonus of 2, that's a maximum of 10. Time to bring in their opponents now and give them the other wall, the water wall, and see how they get on with solving it. Welcome back, Brews. The water is on for you. You've got 2.5 minutes, starting now.
Yeah, so jalapeno, pepper.
Cayenne.
Oh, okay, yeah. So we got South American capitals.
Yeah.
Syntheon.
Paramaribo.
Quito's there as
So
well.
Quito's another one. So we just go around those.
Okay, so
Okay.
Panamera.
Concentrate on
proboscis. That's
monkeys.
Proboscis is a type of monkey.
So
yes.
spider.
It's a spider. Woolly? Woolly must be a monkey as well, surely. And then something else?
Try some.
Yeah. Bird's eye. Could that be a type? I'm not sure.
and bird's eye is pepper. So we pepper.
Bird's eye is...
Jalapeno, cayenne, pimiento. Should we?
Yeah.
Okay.
Peter monkey.
Pete could be a pepper. Pete could be a pepper.
Peter.
Yeah. So cayenne and
Should we cycle through?
Yeah.
okay. Is cayenne a pepper?
Cayman or cayenne?
Oh, there we go.
3 lives now.
Right,
There's
so...
monkeys somewhere.
Spider.
So spider,
Woolly.
proboscis.
It has to be.
Okay.
Okay.
So then, what could the others be? So
Boxer monkey.
I'm not sure.
Sorry.
So we know we've got those 3.
Yeah,
So
spider.
cayenne, if it's not pepper and it's not a South American country, really.
Spider, proboscis. Vervet.
Have we done woolly?
Okay. Well, hang on a minute. Go back to box. Box is a Porsche, isn't it?
You've got 30 seconds.
Okay, so what are the other Porsches?
So cayenne is a Porsche.
All right.
Panamera is a Porsche.
Okay. And then what's the other one?
Vervet maybe?
I don't
Gone.
know. Okay.
Boxer, panorama, vervet, and
Oh, Cayman.
go for it.
10
So
seconds.
these two.
Okay.
You've solved the wall. Very well done. OK, what about the connections? Tell me about the first group, Lima and so on.
So they're capitals of South American countries.
That's right. And the green group, jalapeno or jalapeno, some might say.
Peppers.
They are the peppers, jalapeno, pimento, Peter, bird's eye pepper. And the next group, Cayenne, Panamera and so on.
They're models of Porsche.
They are models of Porsche. And the last group, Vervet, Woolly, Spider, Proboscis.
Monkeys.
Yeah.
They are monkeys. So you found all 4 groups. That is 4 points for the connections. You get a bonus of 2 for getting it all right. That is the maximum of 10. Very well done. Let's have a look at the overall scores. The Brews have 17 points. The Dices have 21. We're going to play the Missing Vowels round. Fingers on buzzers, teams. I can tell you that the first group are all a soup and a main ingredient. Brews.
Kokaliki and leek.
Correct. Brews.
Borscht and beetroot.
Yes, it is. Dices.
Stracciatelli and egg.
Stracciatella and egg, some would say. Next clue. Dices.
Gazpacho and tomato.
Correct. Next category. They are all inappropriate for playing football in. Brews.
Slippers.
Correct. Brews.
Wellington boots.
Correct. Dices.
Stilettos.
That's what I play football in. Next clue. Dices.
Flip-flops.
Correct. Next category. They're all the full names of cable TV channels. Dices.
Music television.
Correct. Dices.
Home movie box office.
That's not it. You lose a point. Bruce, do you know?
Home box office.
Is correct. Next clue. Dices.
Entertainment and Sports Programming Network.
It's ESPN. Well done. Bruce.
Cable News Network.
For CNN. Next category. Old Testament miracles. That one was manna from heaven, but stop everything. It's the end of the quiz. And looking at the final scores, the Brews finish with 23 points, but the winners with 26 points are the Dicers. But you're not going home, Brews. You can never go home. All roads lead to Gatlin. You'll get another chance to stay in the competition later in the series. And well done. We'll be seeing you again, of course, as well. Thanks very much for watching. We had an email last week asking if only Connect were a type of tea, what sort of tea would it be? I said peppermint, quirky and interesting. Jack Whaley-Cohen, the question editor, said Earl Grey with an aura of distinctive quality. No, it's peppermint, I said. No, it's Earl Grey, he said. Well, let's agree to differ, I said. What does that mean? Snapped Mr. Whaley-Cohen. It means you're not always right, I retorted. That is it, said Mr. Whaley-Cohen. Not everything is about you. You're impossible. And oh, look, I've just had a text from David McGahey and he completely agrees with me. So now you're ganging up on me, I screamed, storming out. If you've got any other questions, Dennis Knowles of Lymington, maybe you'd like to have a little think before going online and dripping your poison. Goodbye.